At the edge of the village, there was a house. Nothing special about it. A stone cottage with two small windows and a wooden porch that had been repaired so many times its boards were different shades of gray. But every night, every single night, for as long as anyone could remember, there was a light, not a street lamp, not a lantern left by accident. A small oil lamp set deliberately on the porch rail, lit before dark and left to burn until morning. Most people walked past it without thinking. They didn't know that sometimes a single flame can tell a story words can never speak. Her name was Mara. She was 78 years old when this story ends, and she had lived in that cottage for 53 of them. Her hair was silver white, her face deeply lined in ways that looked like a life fully lived rather than merely endured. She walked slowly, and she sat often, but her eyes were sharp, and her voice was warm. She had no children. She had a garden she tended without complaint, a cat she never named but fed every morning, and a habit of rising before dawn to sit on her porch in the early quiet before the world opened for business. Her neighbors liked her the way people like things they can count on. The baker knew she would wave when she passed. The children knew she kept hard candy in her apron pocket. The postman knew she would have water ready for him on hot days, but no one knew why she lit the lamp. To the village, it was just an old woman's whim. Maybe loneliness. Maybe habit. No one ever bothered to ask. Her husband Jonas had been a traveler, not a wealthy man, a merchant of small goods, needles, thread, buttons, ink, who covered 3 villages on a circuit each week and returned home every Friday without fail. In the early years of their marriage, Mara had learned to keep a light burning on the porch so Jonas could see the house from the road as he came over the hill in the dark. "So, I always know. I'm close," he told her once. "I see the light, and I know I'm almost home." He died in the 32nd year of their marriage, on a Thursday, of a quiet illness that had not announced itself. On Friday, Mara lit the lamp anyway. She did not know why. Her hands simply did it. And the next Friday, and every night after that, for the next 46 years. In the spring of the year when Mara was 61, a boy named Thomas got lost. He was 8 years old, and he had taken the forest path home from the next village, the way the older boys always did. But the light faded faster than he expected, and the path forked where he did not remember a fork. And then the forest was dark, and everything looked the same. He walked for an hour, then another. He did not cry. He told himself he was not afraid. He was, very much. And then he saw it. Far below, at the edge of the village, a small gold light. Just one. He walked toward it. The forest thinned. The path reappeared. He came out of the trees on the hill above the village and ran the rest of the way home. He never told his parents he had been lost. He told himself it was the moon that had guided him, but it was not. 7 years later, a man named Petra arrived at the village near midnight. He was 34, traveling with 2 heavy cases to a business appointment the next morning in the next town. He had missed the last coach. The village was dark. He did not know anyone. He did not know where the inn was. He stood at the crossroads at the entrance to the village and felt, for a moment, entirely alone in the world. Then he saw a light, one small lamp on a porch at the edge of the road. He walked toward it carefully, not wanting to disturb anyone at that hour. He did not knock. He simply sat down on the low stone wall nearby, out of the wind, and waited for dawn. He slept there for a few hours, leaning against the wall, warmer than he had any right to be. In the morning, he woke to find a cup of water and a piece of bread on the wall beside him. No note, no explanation. He left before the village woke and never found out whose porch it was. But he thought about that cup of water for the rest of his life. He moved to the village 2 years later when his business brought him there. And every time he passed that cottage, he felt something he could not name. He never knocked. He did not want to ruin it. In the winter of the year when Mara was 73, a young woman named Clara moved into the village after a marriage that had ended without warning and a grief she did not know how to carry. She slept badly. She walked at night when she could not sleep. One night, very late, she found herself at the edge of the village, sitting on the road in the cold, not knowing how she had gotten there or how to get up again. She looked up. There was a light on a porch 20 yards away. She did not knock. She did not know who lived there. She simply got up, walked close, and sat on the lowest porch step in the dark and let the warmth of the small lamp reach her. She sat there for a long time, an hour, maybe more. When she finally stood up and walked home, something had shifted, not fixed, not healed, just shifted enough to walk home. She did not know the woman inside was asleep in her chair, the cat on her lap, dreaming about Jonas. On the 14th of October, Mara's neighbor noticed the porch was dark. She had noticed it without noticing for years, the small gold glow each night. So reliable it had become part of the air, like the sound of the mill or the smell of the bakery. Now it was gone. The door was unlocked. Mara was inside in her chair, her hands in her lap. The cat was sitting beside the cold fireplace, not moving. She had gone quietly, the way she had lived. The village gathered, as small villages do. A short service, a few neighbors, the baker, the postman, the children who had known her Candy, and 3 strangers. A man in his late 40s who had come a long way. A woman in her mid-30s with a careful face. A man closer to 30 who had driven all night to get there. None of them knew each other. They stood apart at first, each unsure why the others were there. Thomas spoke first. He told them about being lost in the forest, about the single gold light he had followed home. Clara sat very still. Then she began to speak. Petra said nothing for a long time. Then he said, I sat on her wall. None of them had ever met Mara, not properly, not as people who knew each other's names, and yet here they were. Mara never knew. That is the part of the story that is hardest to sit with. She lit the lamp for Jonas. She kept lighting it because her hands remembered and her heart would not let her stop. She had no idea it reached the forest. She had no idea anyone sat on her wall. She never saw Clara on her porch steps. She just kept the light on. Here is the quiet truth about light. It never asks who it reaches. The small things you keep doing, out of memory, out of love, or simply out of habit, might be the very thing holding someone else together in the dark. The consistency you maintain for reasons long past still matters. The habit your grief gave you is still working. The light you keep burning for someone who is gone, for a reason you cannot quite name anymore, is still reaching someone on a dark road. You will not always know who. Keep it on anyway. 3 days after the service, the porch was dark at dusk. On the 4th evening, the lamp was there again. No one saw who lit it. If today this story made you think of someone who quietly kept a light burning for you, tell them. And if they are gone, carry it forward. And if you want to find more of these quiet lessons in life, stay with the silent lesson. We tell stories that teach you English and quietly change the way you see yourself.